Hi everyone, and welcome to our next episode of the Guiding Light podcast. And here joining us today is Laila. Nice to meet you, Laila.
Hello everyone, nice to be here.
And Ben, as ever, is sitting on the chair on his own. How you doing?
I'm good, Chris. Nice to be here as well. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
So I reached out to you actually originally to ask you to come on because you're someone I've known for many years, although you haven't known me, which sounds like a funny thing to say. But that's purely because I was, aware of a band that you were in. I've listened to them for years, so I knew some of the story, and I thought this would be great to get you on. And I was very pleased when you said you'd come along and share some of your experiences and stuff with us. So maybe let's just go with that. What do you want to tell our viewers at the outset? A bit of history, a bit of who you are and why you're here today. Some of that experience, strength and hope stuff, maybe, as we would call it in
Yeah, what it used to be like and what it is now, I guess. So I'm in a band called Sonic Boom 6, and I come from a place called Old Trafford in Manchester. You might know it from if you're a United fan or not a United fan. I clearly am because I'm wearing red bottoms. And yeah, I always thought, I've always felt weird. Let's just say it as it is. I've always felt alone and isolated, that there's something wrong with me. And when I joined a band very, very early on in my life, pretty much the same band that I'm in now, I realized that using alcohol gave me the confidence to be the person that I thought everybody else wanted me to be. And that was like the age of 15, 16. The first time I drank was, I think I was 11, and I drank to blackout. I didn't know what blackout was until about 3 years ago, when people explained to me that's not actually how most people drink, or that's not the objective of drinking. I just thought, well, you drink to just drink as much as possible.
You forget it, right? Yeah.
And then, yeah. And alcohol was just it was just a massive part of my life, and I had a career which completely justified sort of getting to a venue at 1 p.m. and cracking open a beer and joking that it's beer o'clock in the van. But what I found that was happening quite early on, actually, was the next day, when everyone else was just like watching a film in the van or having a little snooze, I'm like sat there wishing the van would crash so I wouldn't have to just carry on, like and I remember like saying that to someone in the band, just going, oh, but if we crash and die, we don't have to do this. And they were just like, what? And I didn't know that my solution to life was getting out of me. Alcohol, drugs, anything to just not feel my feelings, to not feel what it feels like to not be part of this world. My earliest memory is from being like 5, 6 years old in the school playground. And, it's really loud, isn't it? In a school. Oh, God, it's so loud. I haven't got kids, but I still remember like how loud it was. I remember like standing behind a tree while all these kids are playing and shouting and having fun. And I just remember looking at them all just going, die, 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 die. Like I was so full of hatred and anger because I didn't know how to play. I'm a grown woman and I still don't know how to play yet. It's something that is that's a part of me that's growing, that I'm interested in. And so I got to a certain point where I just couldn't drink anymore. I tried to stop drinking and it was so hard and I hated everyone. And then I just went to pretty much drinking neat vodka and soda water. And I wasn't a daily drinker. This is why I never thought I was an alcoholic, because I didn't drink every day. I didn't drink in the morning. I didn't drink on a park bench on my own. I never drank. No, I did drink on my own. That's not true. All these things that I told myself that I didn't do meant that I couldn't be an alcoholic. And also I was in a world where everyone drank anyway. So I'm the weirdo not drinking. And then it just got to a point I was so sad. I'd drink against my own will. And then I'd wake up the next day and go, I'm never going to drink again. And then I'd be drinking against my own will again. It was just getting earlier and earlier. It was 7 p.m, then 6 p.m, then 5 p.m. And so I stopped. I just stopped. I have this stubbornness in me, and I was able to stop. And I stopped for 9.5 years. And, I'm putting posts on Facebook. I've not drank for 7 years. I've not drank for 8 years. I've not drank for 9 years. And everyone congratulating me. But mentally, I was worse than when I was drinking, because I didn't know that I had this this compulsion, this obsession that would lead me back to a drink. And if it wasn't drink, it'd be drugs. And if it wasn't drugs, it'd be work. And if it wasn't work, it'd be food. If it wasn't food, it'd be exercise. And when I say those things, I mean those things in extreme, starving myself, binging, going out all night and partying, staying at home in my room, like not wanting to leave. Every morning I'd wake up, this is no drink for however many years, and I'd wake up and I'd go, oh, I can't wait for it to be evening. I can't wait for it to be evening so I don't have to do this life anymore. And it was just awful. I got to a point in 2017 where I just rang my friend and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. She was like, what do you mean you don't want to do that? Do what? And I was like, life. I was like, I don't know how to stop. I don't want to kill myself, but I don't want to be alive either. And I don't know what to do. And she was just like, I'm so worried about you. What's wrong? Like, tell me what is wrong. And I just said, I don't know. I genuinely did not know what was wrong. I just got married. I got a job that I've always wanted to, that I can't believe existed, and that I got to do it. I've got amazing friends. Everything on paper was great. And then that very same friend, actually, she's incredible. She bought me a book for Christmas, and in it, this author talks about recovery. And I always thought recovery was for people that want to stop drinking. So I had this belief system where you don't go to recovery if you've stopped drinking. What's the point? And this woman just talks about this fellowship of other people that also felt on the outside, that had always felt alone, that had always used drink as a solution, that had always used, that when they drink, they get this sense of ease and comfort. And it's a sense, it means it's something I feel. So it's not actually, you can't grab it. It's a sense, which means that sense for me got shorter and shorter and shorter, to the point where I was sort of feeling hungover and nasty as soon as I'd had the first drink. But then this allergy is set off and I can't stop. And I got to learn all about this in recovery. But it was this author inspired me to go and go to a meeting. And I just Googled it, and then I made this rule, this promise to myself, not promise, this sort of like I was like, right, if this meeting if I have to get the bus, I'm not going.
Mhm.
And if it's before 10 a.m., because I don't get up till 9 a.m., I'm not going. This meeting was 0.2 miles away at 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
You had to
And I
go.
just, and I just found myself there. And it was like someone had opened the curtains and gone, where have you been, Layla? We've been waiting for you. And that was the start of my recovery journey. Every belief system that I had about being in recovery was smashed. On paper, nothing has changed. I'm still married to the same person. I've still got the same job. I'm still in the same band. I still live in the same house. But everything has changed. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good employee. I want to help other people. I want to understand as much about this disease as I possibly can. I want to stay out of other people's business, like meddling in other people's, like just because I can't look at my own. I want to be able to feel all the feelings. I want to be, oh God, no, I don't. That's a lie. I want to heal from trauma that I didn't even know I had. I want to live a life where I'm being of service. I'm not so wrapped up in my little world, what I need to do, what I'm going to eat, where I'm going to get money from, what people think of me, that I miss someone that has a desire to stop drinking or a desire to want to change. You know, I truly believe I have a purpose in life now. And that purpose in life is what was missing. That hole in the soul was this loving, guiding principles that have come from this relationship that I've committed to with something that's bigger than me. Some people call it God, some people call it higher power, some people call it spirit of the universe. For me, it doesn't matter. All I know, it's not me. Because when it was me, it's all, I need this. I need you to be a certain way for me to be okay. I need to have this job so that you think this, so that I will be okay. And it's just like a daily reprieve, a daily looking at these belief systems that, that tell me that I'm too fat or too skinny or ugly or old or thick, all these things. But today, now, there's this power that's within me. I don't have to actually go searching for it anywhere. That if I sit with it and if I practice the principles that have been given to me by working with someone else in recovery and by trusting the process, anyone that's struggling at the moment with it, if you're in recovery or whether you're not in recovery, it's meant to be hard. The ultimate deception is that things are meant to be easy and that I want to do them. No, it's really, really hard. And often I don't want to do it. But the alternative for me is wanting to end my own life. So I don't have the power, choice, or control over drugs or alcohol. I know that. I'm powerless. There's a one of the part of the 12-step program, the number one step is I'm powerless over alcohol. I'm powerless over anything that takes me out of me, which also is a promise that I am going to drink and take drugs because I'm powerless over it. So I need to do this. I need to trust the process. I need to trust that when it's hard and nothing makes sense, that the people that have gone before me, that are well, that have dealt with some of the most horrendous things in recovery, but they've not wanted to drink and they've wanted to help other people, that I can look to them and go, well, if it worked for them, maybe it'll work for me.
Mm.
And that's how I've managed to cultivate a relationship with a higher power, or power that isn't me, that comes from within me, by tapping into the strength of those other people. And I didn't know what it felt like to be loved. I've had people that have loved me in my life, and I didn't know what that felt like.
Mm.
And I didn't know how to give it back. And now I can be completely at peace on my own, or even when things are going wrong, and I've just got this loving internal guide that's like, it's all right, Layla, I love you.
Mm.
Like, we're going to get through this. You're going to be okay. I've never thought I'm going to be okay. I didn't even know what a fear was, but I was driven by 100 forms of fear. They would hijack the driver's seat and take me off to places where, those fears, my body, my mind reacted like they were real, like they were happening. And because some of those fears did come true when I was really little. And so, I need that loving, guiding power that for me started through other people sharing their recovery with me.
Yeah.
Totally. I wasn't sure if you were going to jump in there, but I'm definitely going to jump in there, because you said so much that I can relate to, like big time. And like even in the last few days. And that's what I love about this stuff. Like you said about you didn't drink for ages, and you weren't going into recovery rooms because you thought, stop drinking. But the best thing that I find is when somebody comes in and is honest after maybe have been in there 5, 10, 15 years and says, today's damn hard. Today's really hard. And I'm here to talk about this because I'm here with you who all understand me. And that's where I found myself earlier this week. I was one of those people who went in and said, today's been really hard, and yesterday. And what I love is my mind didn't go to a drink. My mind went, go to that room. Because if you don't go to that room and talk about it, the other option is the drink. And that's no good.
Yeah.
And it's so lovely because for a little while, and this still happens, but my mind, when I stopped drinking and stopped gambling, when I had those problems that just came up in life, everyday challenges, things I couldn't cope with, emotions I didn't understand, my head then went to, I want to end my life, because I didn't have the beer as a barrier anymore. That's what I felt. It was like a barrier. So now it's nice to have the meetings, the people, the fellowship in that place and able to use it, because actually then for a difficult situation, I'll learn and hopefully grow and get a bit better and can share that message as well further down the line. Whereas before it would have been drink or die. And even if I don't do either of those things, I'm not learning anything. And that's the beautiful thing about our fellowships, I think.
Totally. You said learning anything. My desire to stop drinking, the obsession was removed. Working with other women, actually working with other people, taking them through the work, made me see that I was already planning a relapse. Oh, 100%. I was sleepwalking into a relapse, and I didn't even know that it was going to be a relapse. I was thinking about that insidious thoughts, like, you know what? I might just have one. I'll have one when I'm going to drink when I'm 60 because I won't care about hangovers then. And then it'll be 50, then it'll be 40. So it's only through working with others that I got to see that, my higher power uses hindsight to show me how my higher power is working. In the moment, I'm like, is this real? Have I gone a bit mad? Have I made all this up? Is it a cult? Like all that stuff. And it's like, no, because now I have tools. When I'll share with you. So I had a tour in America a couple of weeks ago, and fear of not being able to sleep is a huge one for me, because I've done lots of tours where you've had to stay awake all night. You think you're going to die because the van's going to crash. So fear of not being able to sleep is a big one for me. And I then had to fly overnight from Manchester straight into a 2-day work event that I've never done before, that had the potential. Well, it's probably one of the most stressful things I've ever worked on. And I had the tools to write a fear inventory, which my sponsor showed me. And I wrote a fear inventory. And what was the root fear? It wasn't the fear of not being able to sleep. So why do I have a fear of not being able to sleep? Well, because if I don't sleep, I'm not going to be able to deliver what I need to do. I'll be ill and I'll let people down. Why do I have a fear that I'm going to let people down? Because I've got a fear that I can't cope. Why do I have a fear that I can't cope? Oh, that's the root fear. The root fear is I can't, this fear of being able to cope. Laila can't do it. Laila's too weak. Laila's going to mess it up. So all my behavior and thinking stems from that root. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be sick. I'm going to let people down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So I'm able to use my inventory and go, all right, higher power, if this is actually real and this works, what would you have me be? Like, you tell me, if you're such a big, bad higher power, like, and I'm just little old me, what would you have me be? And then I sat, and the words, and this doesn't happen straight away. It takes practice and practice and practice and practice. And this faith isn't built, and by faith, I don't mean religious faith. Faith isn't built by not doing anything. Faith is built by going and doing what's suggested, having your own experiences, and then coming back and going, that didn't work. Okay, go do it again. Ugh, I'm an alcoholic. I don't like to do, unless I'm like, I bought a guitar once thinking I could just pick it up and play like Slash. I'm not even kidding. Like, I picked it up and I went, never played it again. So for me, practice is not something that comes naturally. And so when I just took a breath in and I was like, all right, come on then, higher power, like what you're saying. And the first word that came up was, Laila, I want you to be resilient. And I was like, oh. And then my higher power says, okay, I've given you a role, but you have to show me how you're going to fulfill that role to walk through the fear. This isn't one-sided. This isn't magic. My higher power needs to see that I'm willing. If I'm not willing, what is willing? Willing is an action. If I'm not willing, then how am I aligning my will, my thoughts, my life with this program that's saying, Laila, I want you to be resilient. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to trust that everything's going to be okay, because I am a survivor and I have been through so much stuff, and I'm here today and I don't want to drink and I'm helping other people. And suddenly, it was amazing. Did the overnight flight, went straight to work, 2 days, completely bossed it. And at the end of the day, I was able to say, thank you, higher power.
Yeah, look, I think I got a lot from your initial bit and that as well. Me too. I didn't know what a blackout was until I come into recovery. I just thought that was normal. What do you mean? Everyone just gets. I used to not know for like 48 hours what had gone on. I thought that was normal. Or I used to kid myself. My mates would go, "Oh, you were really funny last night, and that party was epic," and I'd sort of go along with it, but have no clue exactly what happened, and just sort of, because I want to fit in. I don't want to be different. I want that people pleasing. I want people to like me. My disease is similar. Even if I don't like you, I want you to like me. So I'll try and fit in around that stuff, So I got a lot from that. I got a lot around, what you've done in recovery, because I was there in January. I wanted to die sober, and that's where my recovery started. And it isn't about a drink or a drug for Ben. I put those substances down. I'm abstinent from that, and God willing, I stay abstinent from that. But the reality is, in January, I wanted to die because I hadn't fulfilled the 12 steps for me in the most ruthless way that I should, and be really honest with myself. Got really honest. I went for a step 4, and he got everything. There weren't nothing on that list that I can hold back. He got all the how I felt as a child when I used to wet myself because I was so fearful, and how inadequate I felt at school because I thought I was thick and I'm dyslexic and I couldn't get on, or all that stuff. Right, he had it all. boom, all the traumas I've had in my life, bang, have it, you know. And the 6 around defects, you know, I thought I only had 2, and he gave me a list of about 100.
Yeah.
Said maybe have a circle of those, you know. And
You should
reality
really
is,
count it. I bet it's bigger.
reality is, I tick most of them off, right? But I think that's the first step for me, really, in terms of my actual recovery. Because when I got to look at myself, right, and got how it played out, you mentioned fear there, and I got so much identification with fear. You know, the first thing around fear is I live in a state of fear all my life.
Same.
But reality is, I've never been able to identify what I'm fearful of. I just feel fearful. And 9 times out of 10, what I'm feeling fearful of, like you mentioned, is not actually the fear. It stems back for me most of the time around feeling inadequate, and my ego about perfectionism of delivery. So I want to be the best at what I do. It's not necessarily the fear of that. It's the fear of, am I going to be able to do what it is? Are people going to like what I do? You know, actually that's my fear, and I have to right size that and go, do you know what? It'll be all right. You know, I've been through a lot. It'll be all right. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. I'll go and do something else, right? So I got a lot of identification with that. I think it's you know, powerful around like working with another addict or alcoholic. I think that's the most powerful that you spoke about there, and that's either your sponsor or sponsees. Yeah, because I need to connect with you to understand what my disease sits, because I've got a forgetful disease. My disease forgets on a daily basis. You know, I identified with the fact that you mentioned about like working towards a relapse. Chris knows, but like I was in recovery and I went back out the door for 2 years, near enough, and it started with a champagne, 1 glass, at an end of a meal. I sat for a meal with these people, at a nice hotel, in a restaurant, beautiful surroundings from the outside world looking in. I had everything. Got through the meal, drinking coffee and cokes. They were all having a drink. Right at the end of the meal, the guy says, "Do you want anything else?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll have a glass of champagne, please." And he pulled that 1 champagne up. I was okay that next day, like that night, and I drove someone home. And 8 a.m. next morning, I'm in the off license. Because it sets off for me an allergy, a compulsion allergy of a body and mind that I can't stop.
Totally.
And you know, within 3 days, I'm back in a crack house smoking crack. That's where it ends up for me, you know. And I need to right size that and go, do you know what, that ain't a good thing. And I can only do that by 12 steps. In my opinion, it works for me. I know that there's other forms of recovery, right? But for me, the 12 step is the program that worked.
Music was my therapy growing up, especially. For me, in a weird way, being in a band sort of killed that passion. It killed that that love, that real naive love that I had of music, especially as a kid. Like, I would just lock myself in my room and listen to music and study the lyrics and get really in, you know, this was before the internet. So I'd write the lyrics out and write out what they mean to me. And it was just such a safe space for me. And then sort of like being in a band from the age of 16, it actually it wasn't a safe space anymore. Being in a band and being on stage and people like criticizing, people criticizing that your friends, you know, like, oh, that was a bit out of tune, or oh, actually, don't wear that outfit. Like, they don't mean it, but being in a band became not a safe place for me. And even now, you know, I'm only sort of like starting to enjoy it, because I'm sort of looking at the bigger picture, like, why am I there? Why am I on stage? I'm there to be of service.
I, I got a lot from that. I think you see me wipe a tear out my eye when you're talking about therapy, because you know, a couple of things just really raw for me at the moment. But I'm helping someone in recovery that had a record deal, and addiction took away a lot from him. took away that record deal. Quite successful, and he's also in the transition from the type of music he did. He's probably not aligned with the spiritual principles of our program, and so I spent some time recently in the studio of him, but it's been powerful because I get a buzz from it, and it's uplifting, and it's, what do you think of that, and can we change this line, and can we do that, and what do you think about that? He's asking, we was in there, we was meant to be there for 4 hours and we was there for 10, like, we
Typical alkies, isn't
you know,
it?
like, and in it,
We love it.
and the other thing is, like, power of fellowship again, but he's quite good, and my partner was heavily into music, alternate music as well, not necessarily mainstream music. Right near our end, he come and played the guitar and sang, and we all just sang, man, like stuff that he's like. I mean, I'm an awful singer. I could clear a bar with in the karaoke, me, but and I always,
There's no such thing.
after
Better
15,
than the final order bell, eh?
yeah, after 15 pints, I thought I was Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But like, we were all sober, we was all having a good time, and it got her a bit of a release for her in that those couple of weeks that she knew she was going to die. Right, she knew she was at the end. It gave her that release. So I connect with music. The other thing I was saying, I was speaking to someone else very recently, that I was driving her back from fellowship. She does a lot of my meetings, and we have a varied choice in music. I don't listen to one thing. I like multiple things. Like, I'm fascinated meaning in one song and lyrics in these songs, and I just love it. And I think there is a lot to unpick. I think that's it. A massive thing. The charity is amazing.
Yeah,
And it shouldn't
is.
be a luxury, like
No.
you said. Should be accessible for many more people. One thing I did find funny, I wanted to talk about quickly because it was quite funny. Me and Chris come to one of your events, and it was in a brewery.
Yeah,
was so funny, yeah.
I was like, what? Like, we got two raving addicts, and he took me to a brewery to watch you play. But what a buzz, man!
But that's what I love about recovery. Like, if you are a recovered alcoholic, you can go to the most sordid places as long as your intention is. Like, why are you there? Am I there to vicariously steal some pleasure? Or am I there because it's a gig and I'm there to enjoy for some people, the whole higher power thing can get so complicated. Like, oh my, should it be this? Should it be Jesus? Should it be that? Should it be that? No, it's anything that makes you feel, think, and act in a way that isn't you. Yeah. So music can be a higher power. Nature can be a higher power. What is it? And when you look at the stars, that feeling you get when you're like, that is something that's changed how you feel, think, and act in the moment. So it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that.
Absolutely. I love what you're saying, because I totally agree. It's just that, and I remember sitting in a meeting one Friday night. I don't know how long I've been going to the meetings at this point, but suddenly everything, this is going to sound bizarre, looks different.
Yeah.
And I think,
I've had that.
Yeah, you had that.
I've had that.
I mean, like, so I noticed everybody else rather than just noticing myself.
Yeah, it's like Technicolor. Like, it happened to me. It happened to me when I was walking from my house to like the Sanos that's like around the corner, and the sky and the trees and the people all looked a different color. It's like someone who had turned up like the contrast or whatever. And I had to take my sunglasses off because I'm like, what? And then I just realized what that was a feeling of wanting to be alive.
Yes.
Which was very, very quickly replaced with, yeah, but what if you get killed now? But I'm work in progress.
But it happened, didn't it? It happened, and you noticed it. It's like, whoa, that didn't happen before.
Yeah,
so I know it's there now.
A spiritual awakening, or I like to say spiritual experiences, because for me, it's not just one big white light experience. It's in the everyday. It's in that homeless man just offering us a biscuit.
How wonderful! Exactly.
That is a spiritual experience, because that is something that I would not have seen in the past. I would have seen him walk up and thought, oh God, I bet he wants some money. I haven't got any money. Oh my God, actually, I'm just going to go and hide. That in all honesty, would have been my thoughts.
Yeah.
But rather, we smiled at him. All right, mate, how's it going? And he came up to us and offered us one of his biscuits. Like, how can that not be a spiritual experience?
It's human instinct to interact. And on that, I was speaking to someone very recently around homelessness in particular. I've been homeless in my lifetime, and he said, "But you see it differently because you've been there." I said, "Yeah, but you know, for me, it's about that awakening for me. But just being natural, just being human. Like, we want to connect." He's got nothing in his life offering us a biscuit because we was kind to him. That's reality. He probably gets a lot of not unkindness. He
Yeah.
probably gets judged a lot, right?
But we didn't even need to be kind. We just needed to acknowledge him.
That's what I mean. But in
That,
his world,
totally.
like, we're being kind because we smiled. It's a good day. Like, to him, he probably doesn't. When I was sitting in Charing Cross Station, I used to get even people donating money. They used to throw it. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt very unkind. But you mentioned about the spiritual awakening. It's so funny because I had the same experience, right, in a room, and I see it now with newcomers when the light comes on.
Yeah.
It's such I get this warm glow that I can't describe it. It's really bizarre. I can't say, oh, this is what it is, but I get this warmth, right?
Yeah.
When I've seen a newcomer walk in 60 days before, say, and then they're clean, and you see the lights come on their eyes, and they want to live. Because I come and I wanted to die.
Yeah.
And then when my lights come on, I want to live today. Then I live in fear of living, and that's where the program has to kick in, right?
Exactly.
But to see someone else, their lights come on, that's so powerful. That's a gift, man.
It's
a gift of life to see
Yeah.
someone go through that and go bang.
It's totally a gift.
Like, it's so powerful.
And then what I love, like the next week you walk in and there's a big smile and they're making the tea or something. And like, it's that journey. You're like, yes, this is so wonderful.
Yeah.
You've got this. You want to be here. You're putting yourself out there doing something which is quite difficult, but it's going to help you, and you've seen others do it, and we're really happy you're doing it as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I've worked with chronic relapses, like chronic, like relapsing every other day. And they're like, what's wrong with me? I'm like, you're an alcoholic. I'm like, yeah, but why, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, nothing. You're programmed to drink. Like, it like by nature, like, I should be drinking. The fact that I'm not is an absolute miracle.
Yeah.
Like, or if I'm not drinking, I should be thinking about drinking or thinking about not drinking. That's the obsession. I thought the obsession was, right, what time am I going to drink? What am I going to do? No, the obsession was, right, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to drink. No, actually, I'm only going to have one at 5 o'clock. But I'll have to have a double because otherwise that is the obsession. And it's people, you just have to keep trusting the process. And sometimes to concede. So concede is admit after first denying. It doesn't just mean admit. Admit after first denying. To concede in every fibre within me that I am an alcoholic is what it took for me to go, okay, I'll do what you say.
Become willing. I heard in the rooms recently, never shoot your wounded, right?
Yeah.
And then the next one was, we'll get them eventually if they keep coming back. That's why we don't, Ben. It doesn't matter if they've come here for 10 years. As long as they keep coming back, the program will get them, right? In terms of they will find it, right? It's the ones that don't come back we need to worry about,
You know what? For me, it's the ones that don't even know it exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that for me, because I just assume now that I know recovery that everyone should. I had no idea it existed. I thought it was an American thing.
Yeah.
Like I actually had no idea it existed in the UK. And there are thousands of people dying every minute there's people dying every minute from this horrendous disease, from lack of education, lack of understanding, and lack of resources. And I am not knocking the centres where you have to reduce your drinking and, write your write out your drink, like how much you've drank every day. But I'm an alcoholic. So reducing drinking just led to me drinking more.
Yeah.
It didn't work because I've got a physical allergy to alcohol, and I've got this obsessional mind that I've got no defense against the first drink.
Yeah.
And so for me, that is, talking about recovery and doing this,
Yeah,
with
you
other
meant-
people.
Totally.
You mentioned reducing, and I can't reduce either, right? What happens for me when I reduce is I get all right for a little while, but when I have a binge, it's worse than I was.
I'm
because
like
it's
that I'm like that with TV, food,
Yeah.
exercise, work. Like it doesn't work for me. I don't know moderation.
Yeah, and it mentions I've just done a book study, and there's in that first lot of pages it mentions first drink 130 plus times because it's the one that does damage. If for me,
Yeah,
I can't have that first drink.
totally. And if it was as simple as going, I've got an allergy. So I've got peanut. I haven't got a peanut allergy. Say I had a peanut allergy, I wouldn't eat peanuts. I've got an allergy to alcohol, a positive abnormal reaction to alcohol, right? Okay, just don't drink. I can't do that because I've got an obsessive mind that needs me to drink, because it tells me if I do, and it doesn't tell me it's completely it's in the subconscious somewhere. It tells me, oh, you know what? If you drink this, it will make it better. That sense of ease and comfort that I've wanted all my life, it tells me that that's what it'll give me.
Yeah.
So I can't just stop drinking. And my sponsor always says, because I'm like, oh my God, I didn't drink for 9.5 years. And by the end, I wanted to kill myself. And he's like, congratulations, you're a real alcoholic. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, if you weren't an alcoholic, you would have put the drink down and your life would have got better.
Yes.
Yours got worse. That means alcohol was your solution. That means you needed another solution. Otherwise, you need to drink.
Yeah.
And when he explained it like that, I was like, oh, whoa. Because I didn't drink for so long. There's still a voice in my head that says, are you sure you're an alcoholic? Because you didn't drink for 9.5 years. And then I remember my sponsor going, what happened in that 9.5 years?
Exactly.
Only an alcoholic can say that to another alcoholic, and you get it. That's the power of this fellowship.
Yeah. And when someone said this, I was just like blown away. Only an alcoholic questions if they're an alcoholic. So I tested this. I tested this. I tested this with everyone I know. Like my husband, he's amazing. And he loves to drink. He loves to have a drink. Like not all the he has a healthy relationship with alcohol. And he hates it because I'm like, if he's a bit hungover, how hungover are you? I don't know. Out of 10, like 7. Do you want to die? No, I've got a headache. If you keep asking me these questions, I'm going to want to die. And I said to him, have you ever questioned if you're an alcoholic? And he's like, why would I? And then he does these insane things. Like they're so insane. There's 2 of the most insane things I've seen a human being do. He buys wine to make spaghetti bolognese for himself. And he uses 250 ml of wine that you do. And he puts the rest back in the fridge.
Oh. Doesn't make sense.
Well done, though.
And I'm like, are you thinking about that wine in the fridge? No. The second most insane thing he does is he'll like, oh, I'm going to get some brewskis tonight. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is how I'm an alcoholic. What are you going to get? What percentage are they? How many are you going to drink? And he's like, go away. Like, why are you so weird? And we came home the other night and he'd bought his beers, his 4 beers. And I said to him, oh, I'm going to have a cup of tea. Do you want one? And he was like, oh, yeah. But what about your beers? Well, I'm going to have them in a bit.
All my life.
I'm like, but it's 6 p.m. And we go on all inclusives and it's 10 a.m. I'm like, you need to have a drink. Why? Because it's free. But it's 10 a.m. but it's free booze.
Yeah. So
And
I
he's like,
heard to this, man.
but I don't want to drink. I'm like, what does that feel like?
Exactly.
My sponsor says to me, something similar happened to me. I've been to a charity event and it was unlimited bar, and he said, "Well, your alcoholism runs through others. You're egging everyone else to have a drink." Because I'm like, "You're missing out." Go on, my mate's sitting there and I'm like, watch him, right? And he spent an hour and a half nursing a pint. I'm like, "Mate, this is a free bar. You're gonna crack on, come on,
I
man."
just can't. I'm just like, people that don't drink like I wanted to drink or did drink. I'm just like, what is wrong with you? But I love it because it makes me see, like you said at the very beginning, I need to be reminded daily that I'm an alcoholic, because my head, it just, it is quite insane. Like, and that's okay. I'm neurologically different than some people, and that's okay. And I'm learning about that. And I have a desire to change. And I also have a desire to try to not change others.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing for me. Because I'm like, but if all of you change, then my life will be better. And it's like, no, I just have to keep moving forward. And if people want to come with me, great. If there's people I can help on the way, even better. That's what I need. But I can't force people to come with me.
I think neurological difference is brilliant though. I was speaking to someone else about like being different or weird or whatever, and I'm starting to embrace it. What recovery's given me is embracing who I am.
Recovery is actually giving me a chance to know who I am and being okay with that. My higher power absolutely adores me. My higher power is like, I love you so much. I'm going to give you everything you need every minute of the day. When you're upset, I'm going to give you a hug. When you're happy, I'm going to be your biggest champion. Like, I don't know what that feels like, because I've never had that from an adult in my life. I've never had that kind of support. So how do I know what that feels like? Well, it can't be Laila then. So it must be something bigger.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And do you know what? It's only since I've come into recovery, knowing that I'm different for so many reasons, which is amazing and good, and I embrace it. It's like I can finally like myself. I can finally love myself. It's so weird, because it was always about other people liking me. But actually, did that ever make any difference? If I'd got to the place where everybody liked me and I was doing everything that they would have wanted me to do, would it have made any difference to me? No, it wouldn't. It's all about, am I comfortable? And yes, I am, because of what I've learned. And that's an amazing thing. And going to the pub nowadays and watching people drink in a responsible, strange way, it's like, it's weird. I like the fact that I can now do that, to go and watch them, because it isn't being at parties now thinking, oh, I need to drink, I must get out of here. It is, oh, my head's telling me this lot are all crazy, so I think it's time to go.
But you know what? You've just given the best example of someone that's recovered. We can go anywhere. I don't want a recovery where I can't go to a pub. I can't go to a recovery where I have to go to a meeting when I'm flying abroad to go to someone's wedding. I'm not saying that sometimes I won't need to do that, because it's not linear. It's not like suddenly that's it. But I'm free. I am a free woman. I can go wherever and whenever I want with that obsession. And that disease has been arrested. It's not been cured. If I drink, I can go to the offie now and buy a drink and drink. Nothing, no higher power is going to stop me doing that. But I don't want to.
Yeah, how beautiful, How beautiful.
It says in the book, I'm paraphrasing, but there's a bit about when we've recovered, we can go anywhere, anytime, at anything as a free man. Right?
We can go to the most sordid places. That's what it says.
And it's so powerful, right? That's where I'm at in my recovery. I can go to that pub. I may choose not to go.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. Like, I used to love going to the pub, even when I wasn't drinking. And now I'm like, it just depends on how I'm feeling. I don't have to test myself.
Yeah, it's so powerful to be able to do that. I mean, I struggle in the pubs as well. I think like, oh, why are you only drinking one? Like, because I'm an alcoholic. I can't see that. I've never drunk like you for like the one drink.
I've never had one drink. If someone said you can only have one drink, I'd have none.
Exactly. And the other thing is,
I've never. I'd be like, I'd rather have none.
Yeah,
I mean, I knew I was alcoholic at 19, right? Because I would count how many drinks I'm having a night out. My mates wouldn't have a clue. I bet I'm having 10, 12, 14, or 16, 18. Well, how many drinks?
I'd count mine.
Yeah.
I'd be obsessed with counting how many drinks I had.
But
I didn't know why.
my sponsor said to me, well, it was almost on my step work this time round. He went, well, that's not normal. He said, if I went and asked Frank across the road that lives at number 26 when he last drank how many, he wouldn't have a clue because he hasn't got a problem with it.
I'm like that with like every drink, what I eat. I know exactly what I've eaten, how much I've eaten, like how many cups of tea I've had. Like it's
that's the obsession of mine, and that's like some of the work I've done with it this time around in recovery. That I'm saying, he said, normal people or what the world perceives them don't understand that. They don't know
civvies.
How many with my food, obviously I got bulimia, right? I know how many calories I ate yesterday. I could stop the geezer out there and say how many calories. He wouldn't even have a clue, right? No. He said because that's what you suffer with. It's disease of the mind that you suffer with. I used to count very early on. I knew how many units was in each drink, and how many drinks I was having, right? And then when a doctor asked me how many, I would like take 80% off and tell him that, right? Yeah. It's not booze. It's not the booze. That's what I did, and then I would calorie count, 18, 19, 20, where I'd go. You mentioned earlier on around drinking vodka with tonic. Like what I'd done is I cut out beer because it had too much sugar and it went straight to spirits.
The only reason I drank vodka and soda water was because it was less calories.
Exactly. Number based. I was like, boom.
Same. And it's only working with a woman recently who has OCD. And she said to me, she was like, have you ever been like diagnosed with any form of OCD? And I was like, look, I've got enough stuff right now that I'm dealing with. I don't need an OCD diagnosis as well. She was like, no. It's like, it's part and parcel of the, the obsession of the mind and then she reminded me, I'm always counting, but I just thought it was normal. I count before I go to bed. I go, right, 7.5 hours sleep. How many increments of 45 minutes is that? I just do it naturally. And I just thought everyone did that. Exactly. I thought everyone knows the calories, the carbs, the protein in every food going at the supermarket.
It is a superpower as well, though. So, like, I'll give you an example. When we look at character defects, but there's also an asset list that not many people talk about, right? It's also an asset. So, in my job, for example, a lot of it's number based about revenue, yield, pound per square foot. I know this morning what yield number. If someone rang me up now, I wouldn't need to look at the report. I know, right? Because I check first thing in the morning when I wake up at 6 o'clock, and I check at about 10 p.m. when I go to bed, right? I know what that yield number is.
Totally.
It's an asset, right?
Yeah. When my higher power, sorry, I interrupted you there. When my higher power is managing my life, because I'm a poor manager of my life, my life has become unmanageable. Then things are used as assets or defects. So exactly the same as you, that fear of not being able to cope, the fear of being in the grey, the unknown, the not yes or no, not black or white, not good or bad. It makes me so good at my job because if there's an event, I know exactly, I've planned the scenario right. You're Ed Sheeran, you're leaving from this hotel, you're going to get dropped off at this time. Okay, well, how's he going to get from there to there without anyone seeing him? How does the service lift work? What table is he sat on? Like, what is he allergic to? Like, I can just work out like every scenario possible so that it runs smoothly. And I can do it for 12 artists on the same day. And that is, you're right. It's, it's a defect when I'm using it before going to bed. Because I think that I need to get a certain amount of sleep, otherwise I'm going to be sick. But it's an asset when my higher power uses it.
There we go. So it's about us understanding, doing these steps, learning these things,
exactly.
and then understanding it, which is why it's action. Action-based.
It's a program of living.
It's so powerful. Like what I've discovered in recovery, if you put 12 addicts in a room, they'll find the solution of probably the impossible. because we think
100%.
differently. We're alternate, we're great problem solvers, right?
Yeah, we are.
It can drive us mad. In me, I'm
Yeah.
talking about me, but it drives me mad because I'm trying to find solutions that really
We create problems to find solutions.
I'm not even interested in this solution.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
going to
yeah,
benefit
yeah,
me
yeah.
at all. And I'm thinking about it because it's just my mind, right? And that's when I have to take check and, I do my step 10s and I grasp that stuff up and we move on. But we're also really good, I think, for people like alcoholics, addicts, whatever form you want to take, we're really also great employees because we're hard workers. A lot of us are perfectionists, right? So we go
Totally.
above
We're
and
loyal.
beyond to
We're
achieve
loyal as
a
well.
result. You know what I mean? So that brings us to the end of another episode of the Guy and Light podcast. Thank you for coming in and sharing your experience, strength, and hope. And thank you, Chris, for being my co-host.
No worries.
If you'd like to give us a follow, we're out on our socials, Instagram and Twitter under the Guide and Light podcast. I'm also on LinkedIn under the Guide and Light podcast. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laila. See you later, everyone.
Bye.
As we wrap up another amazing and inspiring episode of The Guiding Light, remember, although your journey is unique, you most certainly are not alone. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to explore, reach out please across our socials or via our website www.theguidinglight.co.uk. Until next time, take care of yourself.